Hello everybody and welcome to Cheat Bashing, where we take a 2-month vacation because I'm a lazy piece of shit. Today we're going to sculpt and convert a super duper muscle mommy sister of battle using some green stuff. We're gonna start with the important areas first, which is obviously the chest.
But I ain't a gooner. Deadass.
For the sculpting, I use a carved piece of bamboo, applied with some DD lotion for extra smooth finish. The final smoothing is done with our bare finger, because you know, I really wanna touch those boobies. For the legs, we need to cut off the embedded daggers in the flesh and a scar to prepare for the extra thunder I'm going to add to the thigh in the form of green stuff. Just cut, scrape and sand with a sanding pad to get it nice and smooth. The extra thickness on the thigh comes from 2 flattened rolls of green stuff applied on both sides of the quads. It's easier to plant the actual muscle bellies on the model first and smooth them back to skin than to try and sculpt the form of the muscle out of a flat piece of green stuff. This is my second time sculpting with green stuff. I did do one practice model before this, and I gotta say I really do like the versatility it gets you with the models. And that's all the enhancements we're gonna make to the main body. The rest comes when we attach the arms. For the head, I chose the bald one because it had the best facial features out of the sisters Repentia pack. I don't know why, but Games Workshop really seems to struggle with female faces on their models. It was especially hard trying to film sculpting hair for the first time, and this took a few tries, and the first couple of iterations came out looking like absolute ass. So I did finally manage to get one decent enough take off camera. The bamboo skewer was too thick for sculpting the actual hair, so I had to eventually switch to a sewing needle. Also, I recommend doing the hair in sections instead of a single sheet to avoid it looking flat and making it easier to sculpt in the fringes of the haircut. But here's me like adding those layers, trying to get a bit more realism into the model. The tentacles for the hair strands started looking like dreadlocks at this point, turning her into a real sister of battle. But we fixed it in the end during the flattening process. So after all of that, it's time to actually glue on the hands, because we do need to make some more enhancements to the musculature, and those cannot be done unless the hands are actually glued in. This was really tricky because the hand does not fit on this particular body in the way I wanted to, so I had to use a lot of the plastic cement and then just wiggle it around. Most of the seams will get covered in green stuff anyway. And here I'm adding small pieces of green stuff to give her wider lats and more back and shoulder muscles. Give her those wings so she can fly. The general overall silhouette I'm looking for is that of a Dorito. Here I'm adding a bit more mass to the bicep, because swinging that big ass sword around is gonna need a lot more arm muscles than the dainty figure already had. After hitting the bicep tries, adding the good old horseshoe look to it, I add in the Death Star delts to cap out the model. I start out by planting a small diamond shape piece of green stuff as the major head of the deltoid, and then just sculpt those in. Do note that in between each step I did allow the green stuff to fully cure and dry. So first I did the lats, let those dry, the biceps, the triceps, let those dry, and then finally I added the shoulder cap and blended it in with the rest of the musculature. And now, after all of the sculpting is done, it's time to start actually painting this thing. And here is the head that I completed off camera. So for the skin tone, I'm just gonna do Kislev flesh, paint it all over the head, hitting the hair and everything. I also base coat most of the body with the same skin tone, not worrying too much of overspill at this point. I didn't do any primer with spray or anything like this on the model, simply because I don't know why. I just started painting straight off the pot. So I base coat all of the skin and I think most of the purity seals as well with the same Kislev flesh to use as a base coat. Then for the hair, I think I go with Celestro Grey to get the shade color of the hair, and then I finish it off with some regular off-white for the highlights. I did try to film the painting of the face on camera, but it was too hard and the footage was all unfocused and it looked like straight up ass. For the wet t-shirt competition paint job, I start off with a grey base coat that later gets highlighted with white. I really do like how the folds on the front of the t-shirt came out in the breasticle area. And for the black booty shorts, I just use some Abaddon Black as a base coat. Then later I highlight it with varying degrees of grey. For the shoes and all of the leather details, I just base coat with Morfang Brown, and I think I later shade it with the same Reichland flesh shade that I use on the skin. For the pearl necklace and for the trinkets on the belt, I just use some pure white as highlights for the pearls. All the purity seals get a base coat of corn red and then some highlights with screamer pink. All of the jack-in ports get a base coat of Abaddon Black, and then later they get dry brushed with Lead Belcher. So all of the purity seals were base coated in Kislev flesh, and I proceeded to paint them with Screaming Skull. All of the skin gets covered in copious amounts of Reichland flesh shade to give her a nice tan and bring out the details of the sculpted musculature. The t-shirt gets highlighted with AK Interactive's Off-White, and I just try to do only the top part and try to hit all of the folds. I did actually manage to sculpt into the t-shirt. I really like how it came out. It was pretty good, even if I say so myself. In the end I did just dilute the paint down as almost like a glaze and went over the whole t-shirt, leaving only the slightest of dark grey shadows. I go back to pure Kislev flesh to highlight all of the musculature and get those nice muscle bellies fully shown. All of the metallic details gets done with lead belcher. And here, when I attached the head, I did notice it did not fit because of the lock, so I had to cut it off and glue it to the other side. The sword is real simple, just a black base coat, a dry brush with lead belcher, add some gold details to all of the relics and other golden symbols, paint the last purity seal again with corn red, and then start hitting up all of the highlights with screamer pink. I shade all of the purity seals and the golden details with skeleton horde, and then I start applying the highlights. The hands get done the same way, all of the skin parts on the model. First base coat with Kislev flesh, then add Reichland flesh shade, and then just highlight with pure Kislev flesh again. I decided to leave the bracers black, just like the booty shorts, and then just add some grey highlights all over them. I really did actually like how the butt of the model looked straight out of the box, so I didn't need to give her a Brazilian butt lift or any other enhancements. The ass was nicely sculpted. Gotta glaze up the booty. For the purity seals, I just highlight them with a bit of wraith bone. And that's the main model finished. Now I just need to get bricked up and do the basing and get to back shots. I mean beauty shots. Remember to dislike the video, report the channel, and leave a hate comment down below. Thanks.